Hi guys, welcome to Northern Oz Explorer. I'm Drew. So today we're heading out to Kakadu, which is in Arnhem Land in the northern part of Australia. Tonight we're staying at the Yellow Waters wetlands at the Cooinda Lodge, and then tomorrow we're heading out to West Alligator Head for 2 nights camping. West Alligator Head is in the northern part of Kakadu up by the water. Cooinda Lodge has a couple of different camping options or accommodation options. They've got camping, bungalows, glamping tents and a few others. We've just got a standard bungalow. So I've never been out this way before, so we're spending one night here and then we'll be off in the morning to do some camping. Kakadu itself is one of the great glories of Australia. It has some of the best camping, some of the best scenery you'll find anywhere in the country. It truly is a magnificent place to visit, and I think it's something that every Australian should do, is to get up to the top end and certainly have a good look around Kakadu. Kakadu is about 170 kilometres southeast of Darwin and is spread across 20,000 square kilometres. It's a national park which encompasses 4 major river systems: the East Alligator River, West Alligator River, the Wildman River and the South Alligator River. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site and it's been home to Aboriginal people for at least the last 40,000 years, and has amongst it over 5,000 identified Aboriginal art sites which contain a lot of history for the Indigenous people of the area. For those people visiting the area, there's a number of resources available. There's a National Parks app which gives you information about hotels, it gives you maps of the areas, information about swimming holes, cultural sites, various other bits and pieces as well. There's a bird app as well which you can download, which plays bird songs. So if you want to go out and play bird songs to the native wildlife, then you can fill your boots with that app. So there are some good resources available online through apps and downloads, which is good because it makes the park and the knowledge about the park more accessible for everyone. So for now we're just going to settle in for the drive. We've probably got about another 150 kilometres to go, and then we'll pull up and have a nice night's accommodation. So we've just gotten up and we're about to head off on the sunrise cruise. So we're going to head out in that and have a look at some of the native wildlife on the Yellow Waters Billabong. So after our cruise this morning, we went back to our room, cleaned up, checked out, and just headed into Jabiru. Jabiru is just a small township which is basically in the heart of Kakadu, just to refuel. There was fuel at Cooinda Lodge, but it's quite a bit cheaper in Jabiru, so we went there. We've just refueled and now we're on our way to the turn-off for West Alligator Head. So Cooinda Lodge itself, the accommodation was fairly basic. It certainly wasn't anything special. We got quite a good deal, a package deal for staying there. I'm not sure I'd pay full price. The rooms are a little bit dated. They've got fresh bathrooms which have been recently renovated, but the rooms themselves are a bit outdated. There's 2 pools. There's a big lagoon style pool and a more secluded one, which were nice, but this time of year they're a bit cool. There are a couple of restaurants that they have at Cooinda Lodge. At the moment they're still operating under COVID restrictions, so they've only got the one restaurant open with limited menu options. So they only do dinners. They're not doing any lunches at the moment, and breakfasts are just from a breakfast cart where you have a choice of a couple of different types of muffins and toasted sandwiches and croissants and bits and pieces, which we had this morning, which weren't bad. The food last night was really good. The food in the restaurant was excellent. We had a starter of salt and pepper squid, which had a bit of an Asian theme, and then some sirloin steaks. They had some nice wines there which were a little bit pricey, but we had a couple of glasses of a nice Tempranillo, which was good. The cruise we went on this morning was a sunrise cruise. It started at just before 7 and went for 2 hours, and it was in the Yellow Waters Billabong, which is fed from the South Alligator River. Not sure why it's called everything's named after alligators up here, because clearly in the north part of Australia we don't get alligators, we only get crocodiles, but regardless, that's what it's called. The Yellow Waters Billabong itself, no one really knows why it's called the Yellow Waters Billabong. There's a couple of theories. One is that the buffalo trample through there and they stir up mud, which gives the water a yellowish tinge. Another one is all of the trees in the area leach tannins into the water, all the Melaleuca trees, and that turns it, if you pick up a cup of water, it almost has a yellowish tinge to it. So we went off on the cruise this morning and we basically sat off the Billabong just watching the sunrise, which is very pretty. We saw, I lost count of how many crocodiles in the area. We got some good footage of a couple having a bit of a fight with each other. There was lots of native wildlife, wallabies, lots of bird life, jabiroos, various other bird life as well. It's really quite a spectacular part of Kakadu. Obviously, given that there is the wetlands there, it brings all of the wildlife in. Highly recommend the cruise if you're going to this part of Kakadu or into Kakadu in general. Being out in the wetlands is just something that you've got to see the diversity and abundance of native wildlife. It was fairly spectacular, and watching it at sunrise makes it all the more better. So once we get to the West Alligator Head turnoff, there's an 80-kilometre dirt track which goes up to the northern coast of the Northern Territory. There's 3 campsites up at West Alligator Head. There's one that holds about 30 cars and 2 smaller ones. I think the smallest one only can hold a couple of cars at any one time. There's basic facilities there, including cold showers, toilets and fire pits. So we should be reasonably comfortable. It's supposed to be a fishing and bird watching paradise. Given that it's up sort of at the top of the wetlands, that obviously attracts a lot of the native bird life to the area, and they reckon the fishing up there is pretty good as well. So we'll head up and I'll give you a bit of an update once we turn off and start heading on the dirt road. So we've just turned onto the road up to West Alligator Head. There's 2 spots along the way that you can stop at. There's 2 Mile, which is a billabong, and 4 Mile, which is a billabong. The 2 and 4 miles don't have any reference to how far along the track they are. It's in reference to the actual size of the billabongs themselves. We're just going past an emu, or a couple of emus. So we're going to probably stop we've just met up with some friends, so we'll probably stop at 4 Mile, which is I think it's about 30 k's in, and we'll have a look there and stop for some lunch and see how we go. There's a group of people that were just about to come in. As I mentioned, this is a fairly popular fishing spot, so there are some people that are coming in to go fishing. They said that the road up here is pretty rough, so it's probably going to take us a fair amount of time to get get through the 80 kilometres, so we'll be there in the this afternoon sometime. So we'll settle in for the drive and have some lunch in a little bit. So unfortunately, 4 Mile is closed access. I think they're doing some maintenance work down there. So we've just pulled over, had lunch on the side of the road. So we're not going to get down and have a look down there. Hopefully on the way out, we'll have a look at 2 Mile when we head back into Darwin. But won't be looking out there today. So we're going to kick off and keep going along the track. So here we are at Jungle Camp, which consists of 2 campsites. We've just had a bit of a look around here. They've got some fire pits, obviously a view out to the sea. Middle camp up further is closed because they've got an invasive weed in that area, so we can't check out that campsite. We're going to head back to Pocock's Beach, have a look there and decide if we want to either camp there or camp here for the night. So we'll head back to Pocock's and see what it's like there. So here we are at Pocock Beach. There's a number of campsites just off of the beach. If you squint really hard, you can probably see Papua New Guinea off the coast just behind me. So I think we've decided that we're not going to spend the night here. We're going to go back to the more secluded campsite because there's some other people camping here. So at the other site, we'll have it all to ourselves. So we'll head back there and make camp for this afternoon. So we're here at Jungle Campground at West Alligator Head. We've set up our campsite. There's 2 camping spots here. There's one sort of up higher and one down lower. Only room for two campsites or 2 people or 2 vehicles to go camping. The one down further is down by the beach. So what we've done is we've basically split up our campsite. Sleeping stuff is up here at the higher area, and then down lower we've got our campfire, camp chairs and our kitchen and everything else. We've set up a little shower just so we can get some relief from the dust and clean off before we go to bed. We just went for a bit of a look along the beach before. We thought we might be able to get out back to the main Pocock's Beach from here. We're going to do a bit of fishing off the beach, but unfortunately you just can't get through. There's all mangrove. So tomorrow we'll drive down there and head out and go for a bit of a fish off the beach. The trip in here was pretty good. The information that we got about the road being corrugated and awful was wrong. It's obviously been graded during this dry season. Kakadu was closed for a long time, so I suspect what's happened is they did the grading during the period that it was closed. They haven't had a lot of people out here, so it just hasn't had the time to deteriorate. It's closed due to COVID, like everything else. So probably in luck in that respect. We had a really good trip out here. The road at the moment is fantastic. The Hilux did really well. We haven't changed our setup with the Hilux at all since our last camping trip. Everything's exactly the same. We haven't made any modifications. I suspect in the next few months I'll probably sort out what we're going to do for our drawers, and I'll obviously give you guys an update then. So anyway, we're going to settle in for the night, maybe do some cooking. Going to have some pizzas over the fire, and off tomorrow for a fish down at Pocock's Beach. So we're going to do a little bit of camp cooking tonight in the cast iron camp oven. So I've got a book which is called Camp Oven Recipes by the Cast Iron Boys. It's got a lot of different recipes in it. One of the ones I've used multiple times is the lemonade scones. It's a good recipe. It's dead simple. You can't really stuff it up. So basically all it is 1 part lemonade, 1 part cream and 3 parts self-raising flour. So you mix that all up. I've got a trivet which I put in the bottom of the camp oven. So we'll mix it all up, put it in the bottom of the camp oven and put it on for, I don't know, 20 minutes or so and see how it goes. So a couple of things with cooking with a camp oven. We had some pizzas tonight, which weren't cooked by me, which were a little bit overdone. Well, the first one was a little bit overdone, primarily because it was cooked on a cast iron plate directly on the fire. So if you do that, you can overheat things. So it's important to remember with trivets, they're really good because it gets the air flow circulation around it. Unfortunately, I forgot a cup measure, so I'm going to use a Yeti wine cup, but it'll essentially do the same job as long as I get the amounts right. So it's 3 parts self-raising flour, so 1, 2, and then 3 to 1 part cream, just normal thickened cream. One part of that, and then 1 part lemonade. You can see we're obviously Woolworths fans. It was a bit sprightly. So when you're making scones, it's important to make sure that you mix them until they're just combined. You don't want to over mix them, because if you over mix them, they end up hard and basically like rocks. So mix it all together. If you need a little bit more liquid, you can put a little bit more in. They should be sticky, but not watery or not too much liquid. Mix it all together, and then when it all sort of comes together, then you can form the scones, put them on the trivet, chuck them in the oven, and then they'll be ready for cooking. So that's just about right as it is now. So you can see the texture now sort of just about right. So we'll form them up, and then we'll chuck them in the camp oven, and we'll get them put on for about 15-20 minutes and see how they come out the other side. So as you can see, I've formed up the scones. They're all on the trivet. Take the trivet over to the camp oven, which has been heating up on the coals. We'll chuck them on for about 15-20 minutes and see how they come out. So we've got the camp oven on. There's plenty of coals around. We've got some fire off to the side just so we can replenish the coals if we need to. Just take the lid off. You can see it's smoking hot inside. Straight in, just make sure they're not touching any of the edge of the camp oven, because if they do, they'll obviously burn. Chuck the lid back on. We'll get our little shovel and put a few coals on the top just to make sure there's plenty of even heating. And then we'll come back in a little bit and we'll see how it's all coming along. So that's been about 20 minutes. So we'll have a look and we'll see if they came out all right and better than the burnt pizza. So they've come up pretty good. So you can see they've all expanded. So we'll take them off the fire, cut them up and have them with some cream and some jam. So we've got the scones out of the oven. We've cut off the artisan burnt bits and the customary jam and cream. So we're going to tuck into them with some gin and tonics. So today we went down to Pocock's Beach. We thought we might put a line in and have a bit of a fish. Unfortunately, it was low tide, so the sea line was out about 1 kilometre from the mud flats. So we weren't going to walk all the way across all of the mud just to put a line in the water. But we had a bit of a look along the beach, which was pretty much deserted. We were the only people on the beach, came back, just sat around camp and enjoyed ourselves. We've put a roast on in the camp oven, so we're going to tuck into that shortly. We've just done a sunset time-lapse video, so I'll show that to you guys shortly as well. And we'll settle in for the night, have a couple of drinks and be heading off in the morning. So last night we had our roast, settled in for the night, got up this morning, had some coffee and some pancakes for breakfast and packed up camp. We just stopped and had a quick shower. They've got some bush for shower facilities, which is basically a rainwater tank with a shower head coming out of it, which certainly does the job. Cold shower, but nice to freshen up. So we're just pulling out of the campground now. We're heading off back on the path, back to the Arnhem Highway. Back to the track to the Arnhem Highway. We're going to stop at 2 Mile Billabong have a look there, and hopefully we can get in and see what it looks like. So we'll stop in there on the way back. So here we are at 2 Mile. There's a number of campgrounds here, and as you can see, one of the boat ramps, I think there's another boat ramp up further, but there's a boat ramp just behind which you have to launch your boat into if you want to go out fishing. You can see the water is sort of ideal hunting territory for crocodiles, so I won't be getting any closer than this. But needless to say, anywhere in the top end, you've got to pay a lot of attention when you're around water. So that's pretty much it for this trip. We're going to finish up here, have a bit more of a look around, head back out to the Arnhem Highway and head home. Tell me what you thought of the video. Anything you want to see in future videos, leave a comment in the comments below, and please make sure to like and subscribe so I can keep making content for you guys. Thanks, and see you next time.